I should have trusted the sinking feeling in my stomach when Mom insisted I come to family dinner that Sunday. "It's been months, honey," she said over the phone. "We all miss you. We all." Funny. Because we all usually meant everyone except my sister, Clara. Still, guilt won, and I showed up. Her house was warm, bright, and full of the laughter that had slowly stopped including me these past few years. I stepped inside and heard Clara before I saw her, her high-pitched laugh carrying from the dining room like nails on glass. "Oh look," she said loudly the moment I entered. "The lost daughter has returned." Mom gave me a tight smile, the kind she reserved for moments she wanted peace at any cost. Dad patted my shoulder in that awkward, half-hearted way he did whenever emotions felt too big. Clara, of course, looked perfect. Red dress, hair curled, lips glossed, expression smug. I sat across from her at the dinner table. Mom brought out roast chicken, mashed potatoes, vegetables, everyone's favorites. Except mine. Mine were never really remembered. Dinner started fine. Small talk. Forced smiles. Dad asking about work. Mom asking about my apartment. Clara interrupting with irrelevant stories about her amazing new job and busy life. Typical. I tried to stay quiet. Peaceful. Invisible. But Clara wouldn't allow that. Halfway through dinner, Mom mentioned that her neighbor had lost her job and I'd been helping her with groceries. Just a simple comment. Clara scoffed, loudly enough for the forks to stop clinking. "Some people just have to feel needed," she said, stabbing her chicken dramatically. Her eyes flicked to me. "They can't function unless they're rescuing someone." Everyone froze. Mom whispered, "Clara." But she didn't stop. "It's like a hero complex," she continued with a snicker. "Like if they're not being praised, they don't know who they are." I blinked slowly, feeling the sting crawl up my spine. She was talking about me. Intentionally. Cruelly. Publicly. Dad cleared his throat, trying to break the tension. "Let's just eat, okay?" But Clara smirked like she'd already won some game only she was playing. I pushed a piece of chicken around my plate, swallowing back the heat burning behind my eyes. I'd spent years being the reliable one. Helping everyone. Cleaning up family messes. Being the emotional bandage they slapped on whenever someone's life fell apart. I never asked for praise. I just cared. But Clara? She hated that. Hated anyone being seen as better than her. Hated the idea that I might have value she didn't. I took a deep breath. "You know, Clara." She raised a perfectly shaped eyebrow. "Yes?" Before I could speak, her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at the screen and, for the first time all night, her face faltered. Her entire posture tightened. She flipped the phone face down immediately. Mom asked, "Everything okay?" Clara forced a smile. "Yep. Fine." But her hands were trembling. Interesting. I didn't know what that message was. But I remembered the way she reacted. Like she'd been caught. Suddenly, the humiliation she tried to dump on me didn't sting the same. Because I realized something. Clara wasn't secure. Clara wasn't confident. Clara was terrified of something. And whatever it was. I had just gotten my first clue. But I wasn't ready to reveal anything yet. Not until she pushed me one step too far. And she would. She always did. Dinner dragged on like wet cement, heavy, slow, suffocating. Clara pretended nothing had happened, humming as she passed Dad the bread basket, smiling too widely, her hands still trembling from the text she'd flipped over. I watched her. Not because I wanted to start something, but because something was already wrong. Mom tried to lighten the mood. So, Rachel, any new projects at work? I opened my mouth to answer, but Clara cut in before a single sound left my throat. Oh please, she said with a laugh, Rachel works from home. How exciting can it be? Meetings and pajamas. Her tone was dripping with honeyed poison. Mom looked mortified. Clara. What? She shrugged. It's not like I'm wrong. I set my fork down, my appetite gone. There she was again. Chipping away. Trying to make me smaller. And for what? To feel taller? The room fell quiet again until Dad, who hated conflict more than anything, cleared his throat. So, Clara, how's your job? Still enjoying the promotion? Her smile froze. Just slightly. But I caught it. Of course, she said quickly. Everything is great. Lie. I'd heard that kind of fake confidence too many times to miss it. She lifted her wine glass with shaky fingers. That was clue number 2. Her phone buzzed again on the table. This time, everyone heard it. A short, urgent vibration. Clara instantly grabbed it and held it under the table, eyes scanning it fast. Her face drained of color. Mom asked softly, Sweetheart, is everything okay? Clara leaned back, forcing a smile so fake it almost hurt to look at. Yes. Just work stuff. Another lie. A bigger one. Because I saw the reflection of her screen in her wine glass. A single line. You promised to send it today. My pulse jumped. Send what? Clara's jaw clenched, her fingers tightening around her phone. She turned it face down again. Her behavior didn't match the confident, mocking sister who'd insulted me 10 minutes ago. This was someone cornered. Someone afraid. Mom reached for her hand. Are you sure? I said it's fine. Clara snapped. The room froze. Dad frowned. Hey. No need for that tone. Clara sighed dramatically, rubbing her temple. Sorry. I'm just stressed, okay? Can we all stop analyzing me? The irony nearly made me laugh. She had no problem analyzing me. My breathing steadied. Not from calm, but clarity. Whatever Clara was hiding. She was terrified it would come out tonight. And that made her attacks on me make sense. People lash out hardest when they're trying to distract attention from themselves. I leaned back slightly, watching her more closely. She avoided my eyes now, avoiding everyone's. Her shoulders were stiff. Her smile was stretched too tight. Mom changed the subject, desperate to recover the evening. So, Rachel, how's your neighbor doing? The one you're helping? Clara made a low scoffing sound. Loud enough for everyone to hear. Dad shot her a warning look. Clara, enough. But she wouldn't stop. She never did. She leaned forward, swirling her wine dramatically. You know, Mom, she said, her voice dipped in sarcasm, Rachel just loves saving people. It makes her feel important. She dragged out the last word like a knife. Everyone went quiet. Heat climbed my chest, not from embarrassment, but from something sharper. I met her eyes calmly. Is that why you're so bothered? I asked softly. Feeling needed? Her smile faltered. Score one. She straightened her back. Oh, please, Rachel, she said, trying to regain control. Not everything is about you. Right, I said. Some of it is about what you're hiding. Her fork slipped from her hand, clattering against her plate. Everyone stared at me. Mom whispered, Rachel, what does that mean? I looked at Clara, letting the silence stretch. It means, I said quietly, that Clara shouldn't throw stones when she's living in a glass house. Clara's face went white. Her phone buzzed again. This time, she didn't dare look at it. But everyone heard it. Everyone felt the shift. The room wasn't focused on me anymore. It was focused on her. And she knew it. Her mask was cracking. And I wasn't going to stop it from falling. Clara's knuckles were white around her wine glass. Her eyes darted to her phone like it was a live grenade on the table. Mom looked between us nervously. Girls, what is going on? Clara forced a laugh that sounded like it hurt coming out. Nothing. Rachel is just being dramatic, like always. There it was again. The old family script. The one she relied on every time she needed to shut me down. But tonight, it didn't work. Because tonight, I wasn't the one falling apart. She was. Dad leaned forward, his brows furrowed. Clara, I've never seen you this jumpy. What's happening? I said it's fine, she snapped. Then she winced at her own tone, like she hadn't meant to let it slip. Mom touched her arm gently. Sweetheart, if something's wrong, Clara yanked her arm away. I don't need help. The irony stung almost as much as her insults. Her phone buzzed a third time. This time, Dad picked it up first. Clara lunged. Dad, don't. But he already saw the notification before she grabbed it back. His face changed. He wasn't confused anymore. He wasn't amused. He wasn't neutral. He was concerned. Clara, he said quietly. What do they mean by you promised to send it today? Mom gasped. Send what? Clara scrambled to tuck her phone into her purse. It's work stuff, private, please, drop it. The panic in her voice wasn't normal. It wasn't the dramatic flair she used for attention. It was fear. Real fear. I folded my hands calmly. Clara, I said, you want to talk about who needs to feel needed? Fine. Let's talk. She glared at me. Don't you dare. But I wasn't scared of her anymore. Everyone keeps asking what's going on. You keep attacking me to cover it up. But you can't silence me this time. Mom looked at Clara, trembling. Sweetheart, are you in trouble? Clara shook her head too quickly. No. It's nothing. Just someone being pushy about a deadline. Dad frowned deeper. What deadline requires threatening texts? Clara swallowed. It wasn't a threat. But her voice cracked mid-sentence. Her mask slipped another inch. I spoke gently, carefully, not to hurt her, but to stop her from hurting me. You're scared, Clara. And you don't want anyone to know. She glared at me, her eyes shiny with anger, or tears. I'm not scared of anything. Least of all you. Then why are your hands shaking? I asked softly. She hid them under the table. Dad leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. Clara, he said, just tell us what's going on. We're your family. For a moment. A split second. I thought she would. Her eyes softened. Her lips parted. Her shoulders dropped. But then she saw my face. Calm, steady, unbroken. And something inside her snapped. No, she hissed. You don't get to win. I blinked. Win? Clara, this isn't a competition. Yes, it is, she exploded, slamming her wine glass down. It always is with you. The glass toppled and shattered on the floor. Mom gasped. Dad stood. Liam, who had been silent the entire night, finally looked up with wide eyes. Clara pointed at me with a shaking finger. You walk in here like some golden daughter, quiet, perfect, self-sacrificing. And everyone eats it up. You think you're better than me. That hurt. Because I had never, not even once, thought that. Clara, I said gently, I've never tried to compete with you. No, she spat, you don't try. You just do. People love you because you play the victim. I swallowed hard. I don't play anything. I just stopped trying to please everyone. And that's the problem, she screamed. You don't care what anyone thinks. I do. Dad finally spoke. Clara, calm down. No, she cried. Because she's sitting there judging me, acting like she knows something. I held her gaze. I do. Her eyes widened, full panic now. What do you think you know? Mom looked at me, voice trembling. Rachel, what are you talking about? I took a slow, steady breath. And then I said it gently, not loudly. Clara isn't mocking me because she dislikes me. She's mocking me because she's terrified of the secret she's hiding. The room froze. Clara's breathing turned shallow. Mom whispered. Clara, what secret? Clara's eyes darted around the room. At Mom's trembling hands. Dad's stern expression. Liam's frightened stare. And finally, me. Her voice broke. Rachel, please. Don't. But it was too late. Her secret was coming out. Whether I said it, or she finally admitted it herself. Clara stared at me like I was holding a loaded weapon pointed straight at her life. Her chest rose and fell too fast. Her eyes glistened with panic. And for the first time in my life, she looked small. Mom's voice cracked. Clara, what is Rachel talking about? Clara shook her head violently. Nothing. She's lying. She's always trying to make me look bad. I didn't move. Didn't raise my voice. Didn't accuse. I just said quietly. I saw your phone. Her whole body flinched. Dad stepped closer. What was on her phone? I kept my eyes on Clara. You saw the message, I said gently. The one that said, you promised to send it today. Mom gasped softly. Dad's voice deepened. Clara, what do you need to send? Clara gripped the edge of the table like it was the only thing keeping her from collapsing. It's nothing. It's work. Just a work file. But even her excuses were trembling. Liam whispered, but why are you so scared then? Clara shot him a furious look. Stay out of it. Mom touched her shoulder. Honey, please tell us what's happening. Clara jerked away from her touch. Then she looked at me. Not with hatred, but with desperation. Rachel, she whispered. Please don't do this. My heart squeezed painfully. Because she wasn't my enemy. She was my sister. And whatever she was hiding, it wasn't petty. It was big, heavy, dangerous. I softened my voice. Clara, I'm not here to expose you. But hurting me won't make your secret disappear. She covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. Mom whispered to Dad, horrified. She's crying. We hadn't seen Clara cry since she was 13. She took a shuddering breath and dropped her hands. Her mascara smeared, her eyes red. It's not what you think, she muttered, voice cracking. I'm not bad. I didn't do anything bad. Dad crouched beside her. Sweetheart, what did you do? She pressed her lips together, then blurted out. I borrowed money. Dad blinked. Borrowed? From who? She swallowed. From my job. Mom frowned. Like an advance? No, Clara whispered. Like. I took it. The silence that followed was suffocating. Dad stood slowly. You stole from your workplace? Clara winced. I was going to put it back. I swear. I just needed it for a little. How much? I asked softly. She squeezed her eyes shut. 3,000. Mom clutched her chest. Clara. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought I could replace it before anyone noticed, but... She choked on her words. I lost my job last month. The room erupted in shock. What? Mom cried. Dad's voice boomed. Why didn't you tell us? She sobbed harder. Because I knew you'd be disappointed. Because you always see me as the successful one. And I couldn't stand disappointing you both. She looked at me then. Eyes full of shame. And you. You're so calm. So patient. So put together. Everyone praises you. I hate that I can't be like that. My breath caught. She wasn't mocking me out of dislike. She was drowning. In jealousy. In fear. In expectations. So when Mom talked about you helping your neighbor, Clara said, wiping her tears, I hated how proud she sounded. I hated that you were doing good things while I was lying to all of you. I felt something in me soften and break. Clara, I whispered. She shook her head, voice trembling. And those messages, she continued. They're from my supervisor. They're threatening to press charges if I don't pay the money back today. Mom covered her mouth. Dad paced, shaking his head. Liam looked like he might cry, too. Clara looked down, defeated. I'm sorry, Rachel, she whispered. I shouldn't have taken it out on you. I was just scared. Of everything. For the first time in years, the table wasn't divided. The truth had leveled us all. And now everyone was staring at me, waiting to see what I would do. Because whether Clara said it or not, she needed me. She always had. Everyone stared at Clara like she was a stranger sitting at our table. The same sister who had arrived looking perfect, polished, confident, now sat with ruined mascara, shaking hands, and a secret big enough to break her whole life apart. Dad pressed his palms into the table. His voice was low and dangerous. You stole from the company? Clara, this is serious. I know, she cried. That's why I panicked. Mom knelt beside her, eyes filled with tears. Sweetheart, why didn't you come to us? Clara let out a bitter laugh. Because you expect me to be perfect. The successful daughter. The one who never fails. She wiped her face. You don't expect Rachel to be perfect. She helps people, screws up, learns, grows. You accept her. You love her anyway. That statement hit me deeper than I expected. Me? Loved anyway? That wasn't how I'd felt growing up. But maybe, from Clara's view, it had been. Clara looked straight at me now, defeated. And when I saw you helping the neighbor, I felt like I was disappearing, she whispered. Like you were becoming the daughter I was supposed to be. My throat tightened. She wasn't mocking me to hurt me. She was mocking me because she was terrified of falling behind. Dad exhaled heavily. Clara, we will figure this out. But you cannot hide things like this. I didn't want anyone to know, she said weakly. I'm so embarrassed. She buried her face in her hands. Mom stroked her back. Sweetheart, you're not alone. We'll get through this. Clara shook her head. No, you won't. Because they gave me until midnight tonight to return the money, before they file a report. My heart dropped. Tonight? I asked. She nodded. 3,000. I have nothing left. My savings are gone. My credit cards are maxed. Mom looked at Dad helplessly. Can we? Dad's jaw tightened. I paid for the roof repair last week. We don't have it. Liam whispered, I could give a little. But it wasn't enough. Nowhere close. A heavy silence fell. Clara sobbed into her palms. Then Dad turned to me. And I felt it. The shift. The expectation. The unspoken plea. Rachel, he began carefully. You're pretty good with money. And you've always been responsible. Is there any chance? Clara snapped her head up. No. I'm not asking her. I can't let her save me. But her voice cracked in a way that said she needed saving more than anyone she'd ever mocked. Dad continued softly. Could you help your sister? Even partially? Just enough to keep her out of legal trouble? Mom added, voice trembling. Please, sweetheart. This could ruin her life. Clara's face twisted with shame. I don't deserve her help, she whispered. After everything I said tonight, after how I treated her. I don't deserve it. She was right. She didn't. But that wasn't the point. I looked at her, really looked at her. Not as the sister who mocked me. Not as the girl who needed to win at everything. But as a human being. Crumbling under the pressure she created for herself. She'd spent her whole life trying to be perfect. Because she was terrified of being seen as fragile. And now she was. Her voice broke. Rachel. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just drowning in. I didn't want anyone to know. Mom sniffed. Dad wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. The whole table seemed to tilt toward me. Because they all knew. I was the only one calm enough. Stable enough. Kind enough. To decide what happened next. Not because I needed to feel needed. But because I had something Clara never allowed herself to have. Courage to face the truth. I inhaled slowly, preparing to speak. Everyone leaned closer. Clara held her breath. And I finally said, Clara, I'll help you. But I didn't stop there. However, we're doing this my way. Her eyes widened. Both terrified and relieved. Because my way would change everything. The room went dead silent after I said it. Clara stared at me like I'd just handed her a life raft she didn't think she deserved. Dad let out a breath he'd been holding. Mom covered her mouth with shaking hands. Liam whispered, "Thank God." But I wasn't done. "I'll help you," I repeated softly, "but we're doing this my way." Clara swallowed. Hard. "Oh, okay. What does that mean?" I leaned forward, keeping my voice steady, firm, not angry, just clear. "It means I'll lend you the money tonight. But there are rules." She blinked, mascara smudged. "What rules?" "Rule 1, I said. You tell the full truth to your supervisor. No more half explanations. No more lies. You admit you panicked, you explain you're paying everything back, and you take responsibility." Clara's breath hitched. Mom whispered, "Rachel, is that necessary?" "Yes," I said calmly. "Because hiding is the reason she's here now." Clara looked down at her hands, nodding slowly. "Okay. I'll tell them." "Rule 2, I continued, you're going to meet with a financial counselor. Someone professional. Not Mom, not Dad, not me." Clara's lips pressed into a trembling line. "Okay. Rule 3, I said, voice softening, you stop attacking people when you feel insecure. Especially me." That broke her. Tears spilled down her cheeks again, more quietly this time, without the theatrics. Real tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered hoarsely. "I really am. I don't know why I do that. I hate myself for it." I shook my head gently. "You don't hate yourself. You're scared. And instead of asking for help, you lash out at the safest place you can, your family." Her face crumpled. "Please don't hate me," she choked. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I reached across the table and took her trembling hand. I don't hate you, I said. I never did. She burst into sobs, loud, shaky, raw. Not the polished, perfect Clara everyone knew. The real one. The human one. The one who'd been cracking for years under the pressure of having to be flawless. Mom cried quietly. Dad wiped tears he pretended he didn't have. Even Liam sniffed. After a long moment, Clara whispered, "What's the last rule?" I smiled sadly. "Rule 4, I said. You pay me back with honesty, not money." She blinked. I don't understand. I don't want the debt to break us. I want it to rebuild us." Her mouth trembled. "You still want a relationship with me? After everything?" "Yes," I said. "But a real one. Not one built on competition or jealousy or pretending you're okay when you're not." Clara covered her face with her hands again, letting out a shaky, relieved laugh. "I don't deserve you." I squeezed her hand. "Maybe not tonight," I said softly. "But one day, you will." Later that night, we left the table together, Clara leaning on me slightly, her exhaustion finally showing. She called her supervisor. I sat beside her while she cried through the apology. She offered repayment terms. They accepted. Crisis softened. Not fixed. Not erased. But softened. A new beginning. Before going to bed, Clara hugged me in the hallway. Not a quick, fake hug. A real one. A long one. Her voice shook against my shoulder. "Thank you for not exposing me at dinner," she whispered. "You could have humiliated me." I nodded. "That's not who I am." "I know," she said. "And that's why I'm trying to become someone better." I pulled back, brushing her hair out of her face. "You don't have to be perfect, Clara," I said. "You just have to be honest." She nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "I'll try," she whispered. "For the first time. I'll really try." And for the first time in years, I believed her. Because tonight proved something I never expected. Clara didn't hate me. She needed me. Not as a hero. Not as a competitor. Not as the better daughter. Just as her sister. Her flawed, stubborn, patient, human sister. And this time, she wasn't afraid to admit it.